I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to lock my neighbor's car in my own garage. But when that neighbor is a power-hungry HOA Karen who keeps treating your house like community property, sometimes justice sounds like the click of a padlock. Yeah, this whole mess started with one white Lexus and a woman who thought rules didn't apply to her. My name's Marcus Williams. I'm a software developer. I work from home. I mow my lawn. I keep to myself. My place is in Oak Ridge Estates, a quiet, picture-perfect suburb where everyone waves dogs don't bark after 10, and the HOA board practically thinks they run the country. When I first moved in 3 years ago, it felt great. The previous owner had converted part of the garage into a home office with big windows perfect for remote work, and I still had enough space to park one car and a detached carport in the back. Everything worked beautifully, until she moved in. Patricia Henderson. Mid-50s blonde bob, always crisp outfits, and that smug smile that could make milk curdle. She drove a spotless white Lexus SUV with a personalized plate that said, Pat Time, and she made sure everyone knew it was Pat's time all the time. Within 6 months, she'd managed to get herself elected to the HOA board. At first it was tiny things, a warning about my succulents on the porch, not approved vegetation, a notice because my trash bins were visible for 30 minutes too long. I swallowed my pride and adjusted. I didn't want trouble. But with Patricia, there was always something new. The color of my mailbox, a bird feeder that supposedly attracted undesirable wildlife, even my Amazon boxes sitting on the porch while I was in a meeting. Each infraction came with a printed notice, a text, and sometimes a visit, her perfume always hitting before her voice. Marcus, honey, she'd say with that sickly sweet tone, we all have to follow the same rules. It's what keeps our property values high. You understand, don't you? I'd grit my teeth and nod. Anything to keep the peace. That worked. Until one rainy Tuesday morning. I was mid-client call when a car horn blared outside. I ignored it. It kept going. 5 minutes later, I excused myself, grabbed an umbrella, and walked out to find Patricia sitting under my carport in her Lexus hand on the horn, glaring through the windshield. Marcus, you need to move your car, she barked. I blinked. I'm sorry. What? The street's flooded near my driveway. I didn't want to risk water damage, so I parked here temporarily. I assumed you wouldn't mind. I stared at her. That's my carport, Patricia. She rolled her eyes. Your garage is enclosed. You should move your car and let me use it. The rain's blowing in here. I almost laughed. No, you can't just take my space because of a puddle. Please move your car. She glared at me for a full 30 seconds before reversing right through a puddle that splashed muddy water all over my jeans. That evening, the HOA sent out a new proposed amendment, a rule that would require residents to make extra parking spaces available during emergency weather. Guess who the contact person was? Patricia. I forwarded it to my lawyer friend who confirmed it was garbage. We wrote a polite but firm response to the board. I thought that would end it. I was wrong. A few days later, I came home from grocery shopping, and there it was. Patricia's Lexus. Inside. My garage. The door was open. Her car was neatly parked inside, and she was nowhere to be seen. My brain short-circuited for a second. How did she even get in? Then I remembered the keypad code. Months ago, she'd asked for it for an HOA inspection. I'd given it to her once. A note was taped to the door. Marcus had to attend an emergency board meeting. My driveway's being resealed and the streets blocked. Used your garage since you were out. Thanks, Pat. I stood there holding the note, shaking my head. Who does that? I changed the keypad code, disabled the manual override, and sent her a text. I see you parked in my garage without permission. The code has been changed. Please contact me when you return so we can discuss this breach of privacy. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. Marcus. I need my car. Please open the garage. I waited 15 minutes before replying. I'm in a meeting. We'll be free in an hour. In the future, don't enter my property without permission. 10 minutes later. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. I checked the camera. There she was on my porch, pressing the doorbell, non-stop, phone in one hand, pacing in the rain. I counted to 30 before opening. She looked furious. "This is unacceptable," she yelled. "I've been waiting for almost an hour. You're holding my vehicle hostage. I could call the police." "For what exactly?" I asked calmly. "You entered my property without permission, used a code you weren't authorized to use, and left your car in my garage. If anyone should call the police, it's me. It was an emergency. Your driveway being resealed isn't an emergency. Patricia, you could have planned ahead." She crossed her arms. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "Maybe. But boundaries exist for a reason." After a long silence, she hissed through her teeth. "Fine. I should have asked first. Now open it." It wasn't an apology, but it was something. I opened the garage via my phone, watched her stomp past me, start her Lexus, and back out like she was escaping a crime scene. The next morning, a new notice appeared on my door. My garage conversion suddenly was non-compliant. HOA demanded I restore it to original use within 30 days. I laughed out loud. They were coming after my office now. I sent the notice to my lawyer. She verified that all my permits were valid, then drafted a letter threatening legal action if they kept harassing me. That night I poured a drink and told myself it was over. But peace doesn't last long in Oak Ridge Estates. The next day, Patricia's Lexus was back in my garage. The door had been open for a few minutes while I was moving yard tools. I saw her walk right in, park, and leave. Not a glance my way. No note. Nothing. Something in me just clicked. I was done being polite. I went to the hardware store, bought a heavy-duty padlock, and installed it inside the garage door so it couldn't be opened from outside. Then I made myself tea, sat by the window, and waited. 2 hours later, there she was. Patricia punching the keypad, frowning, punching it again, checking her phone, trying again. I opened the door after letting her stew a bit. "Patricia, what can I do for you?" "The garage door seems to be malfunctioning. I need my car." "Your car?" "In my garage." Again. She tried to smile. "You weren't home. The door was open. It's just for a few hours." "Not fine, Patricia. We literally talked about this yesterday." She folded her arms. "Look, I don't have time for this. Just open it. I've installed a new lock on the inside for security. You understand, after finding people entering without permission?" Her eyes widened. "You locked my car in your garage? That's illegal." "I secured my property," I said evenly. "Your car happens to be trespassing. This is ridiculous. I need it now. And I needed privacy, but we don't always get what we need. You can pick it up tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. She almost shrieked. "Tomorrow?" "Yes, tomorrow. I'll call the police." "Go ahead," I said, pointing at the security camera. "They'll love the footage of you entering my garage uninvited twice." She hesitated, phone in hand, eyes darting. Then she muttered, "This isn't over," and stormed off. The next morning, right at 9, a car pulled up. Patricia wasn't alone. This time she'd brought reinforcements. Howard, the older HOA president, and Diane, a newer board member. Great. An audience. I unlocked the padlock, stepped outside, and smiled. "Good morning. Right on time." Patricia crossed her arms. "These are board members. They're here to ensure there are no misunderstandings." "Perfect," I said. "More witnesses help when documenting inappropriate behavior." Howard tried to sound diplomatic. "Marcus, perhaps we can discuss this calmly." "Sure," I said. "But just so everyone's clear, Patricia has repeatedly entered my property, used my garage without permission, filed retaliatory complaints, and harassed me through the HOA. I have documentation of all of it." Howard blinked. "Patricia, you parked in his garage without permission." She waved a hand. "It was an emergency." "He's exaggerating. He retaliated by locking my car inside." "Actually, I cut in. I locked my own property after repeated trespassing." "She parked again without consent." "That's on her." Diane frowned. "Patricia, you told us he agreed to let you use it temporarily." Patricia's face flushed. "I left him a note." "A note isn't permission," I said, "and there wasn't even a note this time." Howard cleared his throat. "Patricia just retrieved your car. We'll continue this discussion at the community center." She slammed the car door so hard it echoed down the street, nearly clipping Diane as she backed out. That afternoon, when I got back from errands, guess what was blocking my driveway? The same Lexus. This wasn't negligence anymore. It was payback. I took photos, called the non-emergency police line, and explained the situation. Officer Jenkins arrived 20 minutes later, calm and professional. "She parked here before, right?" he asked. Multiple times I said, showing him the footage. "She's escalating." He nodded. "All right, I'll talk to her." He walked over to her house. I watched from my porch as they talked. She gestured wildly, voice rising. 10 minutes later he returned. "She claims it's a misunderstanding about shared parking." He said, "Not buying it. I've advised her to move immediately. If she doesn't, you're within your rights to have it towed. I've documented everything." 5 minutes later, Patricia stormed out, shot me a death glare, and drove off without a word. The following day I got an official HOA envelope and emergency meeting notice. Agenda: parking violations and property use. I went, with my lawyer. When Patricia saw us walk in, she froze for half a second before pasting on her plastic smile. She started her speech. "Some residents have shown hostility toward community cooperation." I waited, then stood up, passed copies of every photo, every notice, every time-stamped video to the board members. "This," I said, "is what community harassment looks like. And I'm not the only one." Howard's eyebrows went up. Diane nodded slowly. And then one by one other homeowners spoke up, stories about petty violations, selective enforcement, retaliatory fines. The room shifted. Patricia's face turned red. "This meeting is about parking, not personal attacks." Howard looked around. "Actually, it's about community concerns which clearly go beyond parking." By the end of the night, everyone knew exactly who Patricia really was. 2 weeks later, the HOA voted her off the board. 3 weeks after that, her house went up for sale. The morning she moved out, I saw her loading the Lexus, same PAT time plate gleaming in the sun. Our eyes met for just a second. I raised a hand in a small silent wave. She gave me a stiff nod, then drove away. I never saw her again. But the neighborhood changed. People started talking more, helping each other without permission slips. The new HOA president, Howard, was fair, reasonable. As for me, I finally removed that padlock. But I kept the cameras. Because some lessons you only need to learn once. Respect isn't given by rules. It's earned by boundaries.